What's going on, Aurora Alliance? Welcome to a Star Wars Battlefront 2 guides, tips and tricks video where I'm going to be talking about what could be one of the best classes in Star Wars Battlefront 2, the Assault class. But before we get fully into this guide, make sure to let me know down in the comment section below what classes, weapons and star cards you like to use in Battlefront 2, as I will be breaking down every single weapon, star card and class as soon as the game launches in November. If you are new to the channel as well, make sure to subscribe to join the Aurora Alliance, be kept up to date with all Battlefront 2 content, and see exclusive gameplay videos in the future. But for now, we're going to get into the topic of this video and talk about the Assault class. You might be sitting there thinking, well, I've played as the Assault class, I didn't really like it, the Heavy's the best. The Heavy is a really good class, but in my opinion it's very slow and the weapons aren't exactly the best. And although some of the abilities are really good, some of them really do let that class down. Where I feel like the Assault class is a very well-rounded class, and if you pair up some of the abilities, it can become very powerful. The Assault class is described as a fast, tough, and effective class at close to medium range. However, you must be aware that this class will let you down sometimes at longer ranges, especially when you go up against classes which are equipped for long-range combat like the Specialist class, which is expected. You can't expect to go toe-to-toe sniping with an Assault class against a Specialist class, as you will lose. The power and pace of the Assault class really do allow you to tear through the enemy lines in Battlefront 2 and create paths for your teammates to break the enemy lines and take them out quite easily. The Assault class, in my opinion, and from what I have played, feels like one of the fastest classes in Battlefront 2, as it does actually have high mobility, and it really excels in Battlefront 2 at overcoming enemy defenders, taking up strategic positions, and cutting off enemy paths and stopping them achieving their objectives in the game. The Assault class's main team roles are to directly attack the enemy or flank the enemy to achieve strategic positions within the game. But you must bear in mind that with the Assault class it doesn't have the highest health points in the game, so if you do directly attack enemies all of the time, you will take a lot of damage and more than likely die. So if you are playing as the Assault class, it really is best if you take cover as often as you can while you engage your enemies to avoid taking too much damage and becoming overwhelmed by large groups and then finally being defeated. The stock or standard weapons for the Assault class in Battlefront 2 at the moment are the F11D for the First Order, the EL16 for the Resistance, the DC-15A for the Clone Army, and the E5 for the Droid Separatist Alliance. We don't know what weapons the Rebels and Empire will use for the Assault class or any class in Battlefront 2 at the moment, but we can have a pretty good guess that the Rebels will use the A280C and the Empire will more than likely use the E11. That is perfectly fine with me, I'm not going to lie. In the first Battlefront game by EA and DICE, the A280C and the E11 were my favourite weapons, so I can't wait to get to grips with them again in Battlefront 2. All of the weapons for the Assault classes do have their own pros and cons, which is expected. Not one weapon in the game is going to be the best at everything. However, the weapons are really well balanced for close, medium and long range if you know how to use them. They don't exactly have the highest fire rate, so if you are trying to take someone out at a long range, all you have to do is try to control the recoil of the weapon by simply burst firing or single firing the weapon to make it a lot more accurate and easier to control at longer ranges. However, the damage will drop off after a certain distance, so it's probably not wise to try and take out people at long range all of the time with the Assault weapons. However, if you do feel like the stock or standard weapons for the class Assault in Battlefront 2 are insufficient, you do have the choice in every single era to use the CR2 at the moment, which does have an incredibly high fire rate compared to the era-based or stock weapons for the Assault class, but the higher fire rate for the CR2 makes it very hard to control and use effectively at longer ranges, so you have to single fire or burst fire the weapon, but even still, it makes it quite hard to use because of how fast it fires and the amount of recoil it does have. However, like I said, if you do burst fire or single fire an Assault weapon, it does allow you to maintain accuracy, but with the CR2 as well, you might be able to maintain the accuracy, but it does have a lot less damage than all of the era-based weapons, which mean it can take a very long time to kill someone who is outside of the weapon's range with the CR2. It's very hard anyway with the era-based weapons like the F11D, the EL16, the DC-15A or the E5, but with the CR2 it's even harder. So you do have a choice in Battlefront 2 with the Assault class. You can choose between having a balance between close and long range combat with the stock or era-based weapons, or you can have a weapon, the CR2, that is extremely powerful at close range because of the high fire rate, but then you lose out on the long range damage and accuracy because of its low damage anyway and the recoil that the weapon has from the fire rate. So my own personal opinion, I would recommend the stock era based weapons at the moment, as they do offer you a great balance between power and accuracy at close, medium and long ranges. But when a game mode gets to close quarter combat areas like inside of Theed or in the forest of Takodana or Maz Kanata's castle for example, then it probably is best for you to use the CR2, as it will give you greater firepower at close range due to the high fire rate, which is needed for short range gunfights, which you will more than likely be having in certain areas of maps within Battlefront 2. Not every single map is going to be long ranged based, they will have areas which are suitable for longer range or shorter range. So the ability to change your weapon every time you spawn can be really helpful to how you play in Battlefront 2. When it comes down to the star cards for the Assault class, the class comes with standard star cards of the Thermal Detonator, which is a throwable grenade packing a deadly punch, the Vanguard ability, which is a powerful short-range weapon which builds no heat for a period of time, otherwise known as the Scattergun from the first Battlefront game, which was a beast, and the Scan Dart ability, which allows you to locate enemies near to where the dart lands after it has been fired. The star cards can be upgraded or replaced by using other star cards and abilities that you can earn from crates, challenges, etc. in Star Wars Battlefront 2. The abilities I've just told you, or the star cards I've just told you, whichever you want to call them, are standard for every era of the Assault class in Battlefront 2, and they are great cards, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're awful, but these are not the ones that I would recommend using for the Assault class in Battlefront 2. When you can upgrade star cards or unlock them through crates, try your best to use the Vanguard Refresh, which is an upgraded version of the Vanguard ability which refreshes when you defeat an enemy with it, the Assault Training star card which allows you to gain a small amount of health for each enemy defeated, and the Combat Enhancer ability which allows you to regenerate your health faster while the ability is active. When you equip these 3 star cards, it still means that you get to keep the Thermal Detonator as an ability, which can be a very handy piece of equipment, as I would always recommend trying to keep some form of explosive in Battlefront 2, as there is a lot of explosives going off on the battlefront, but it can also help you get enemies out from behind cover, which I really like to use it for. The Vanguard Refresh ability is great as it is more powerful than your primary weapon at very close ranges, and can defeat most enemies with 1 hit, and 2 hits to defeat a fully healed heavy. It also allows you to move quicker, letting you flank your enemies faster, getting closer to them to allow the Vanguard to be more accurate as you're under no pressure of someone shooting at you because you're behind them. And as long as you defeat that enemy with it, it will keep refreshing, allowing you to go on long close quarter combat kill streaks with the Vanguard Refresh ability. The Combat Enhancer will allow you to stay alive for a lot longer in Battlefront 2 when you get yourself into sticky situations, which I do a lot, when charging towards the enemy. If you defeat an enemy but his teammates come to avenge him and you're on low health, all you have to do is activate the Combat Enhancer to gain your health back before they take you out easily for being on low health due to your prior combat. It works in a pretty similar way to how the Adrenaline Stim card worked in Star Wars Battlefront 1, which I really liked, as it gave me that extra boost of health when I needed it after I'd been in a blaster fight. The Assault Training will also keep you alive for a bit longer, as many times in the Star Wars Battlefront 2 beta I took on a group of enemies, defeated 1 or 2, but was on too low health to be able to carry on my streak or get out of the way of their blaster fire. But with the Assault Training, when you get a kill, you get some health back, meaning that when you take an enemy out, whatever damage they have done to you, you will gain a little bit back, giving you a tiny bit of an edge for your next gunfight, as by the time you take on your next enemy, you will have already regenerated some of your lost health, and this star card works really well alongside the Combat Enhancer ability, as if you pair them up, after most gunfights you can end up on full health pretty quickly. The one big downside of the Assault class, which I mentioned already in this video, is that it has low durability compared to a class like the Heavy, with only 150 health points. The only class below the Assault on health points is the Specialist class, who have 100 health points, and the Officer class is on par with the Assault class in terms of health. The Officer also has 150 health points. So if you come up against an enemy Heavy, Officer or Assault class, you may well survive the encounter, but it will leave you on very little health points, meaning you will be killed by your next enemy pretty easily if they are nearby to where you had your last gunfight. However, this negative point of the Assault class can be countered by using the Assault Training Star card and the Combat Enhancer ability, but if you do not have these star cards, then I really recommend using any and every piece of cover possible on the battlefront while engaging an enemy in a blaster fight. If you have low health, you're going to need to try and make yourself a hard target to hit, otherwise you will be defeated pretty easily, which no one wants to be. Everybody wants to go on 5,000 kill streaks. Not saying you'll be able to do that by using a bit of cover, but it will help you stay alive for a lot longer. So if you do follow my guide on the Assault class and play the way the Assault class is meant to be played, by using direct combat or flanking your enemies, you should see yourself getting a lot more kills every game, as flanking is going to make your enemies more vulnerable, as they won't be watching their backs all of the time, and if you use cover and hit precise, accurate shots, you will kill enemies quickly, as the Assault class can dish out a lot of damage quickly if you use stock weapons and aim for headshots. Obviously, like I said earlier on, if you are on a close quarters map, then go ahead use the CR2, as the high fire rate will give you a bit of an advantage over everyone else. Like I said at the start of this video, let me know down in the comments section below what star cards, weapons and classes you like to use, and I will go in depth on them when the game releases this November. Make sure to smash a like on this video if you have enjoyed it, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to join the Aurora Alliance, be kept up to date with all Battlefront 2 content, and see exclusive gameplay videos in the future. Other than that, may the Force be with you.